There is a mystery in the kingdom that defies human logic, a divine principle that causes ordinary men to rise without striving, to be remembered without promoting themselves, and to be enthroned without fighting for it. That mystery is humility. In a world obsessed with self, pride, and personal ambition, there is a forgotten path that leads to true greatness, a posture of the heart that God cannot ignore. Many have prayed, many have fasted, many have declared, but still remain grounded because they have ignored this law. God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. Before God promotes a man, he checks posture. Not eloquence, not activity, posture. It is not the loudest voice in the room that is lifted. It is the one with the lowest heart before God. If you want to rise in this kingdom, you must understand that the way up is always down. Down on your knees, down in surrender, down in brokenness. Until your pride dies, your destiny will remain in waiting. But the moment God finds a heart that is yielded, teachable, and surrendered, lifting becomes a guarantee. Welcome to a journey into a dimension of wisdom that will rewrite your life's story. God rewards the humble. Humility is the posture that attracts divine grace. It is not just an emotional state or a display of gentleness. It is a spiritual positioning. A recognition of one's insufficiency outside of God. In the realm of the spirit, posture matters. God is not drawn to noise, activity, or charisma. He is drawn to posture. When a man assumes a posture of humility, he becomes a candidate for divine visitation. There is a law in the spirit that demands God must resist the proud. No matter how gifted, no matter how anointed, if pride is found, heaven steps back. Pride creates a system where self becomes king, where one's dependence on God is replaced with personal strength, intelligence, and connections. And yet, this kingdom was not designed to function by the energy of the flesh. Grace is a spiritual currency. It is not found in the corridors of ambition. It is located at the feet of the Master. The humble are those who know how to lie flat before God, saying, "Lord, without you I am nothing." They are not empty words. It is the reality of their soul. They understand that every good and perfect gift comes from above, that promotion, favor, increase, and visibility are all reflections of divine grace, not personal effort. The problem is, pride can be subtle. It can dress in priestly garments. It can quote scriptures. It can preach, sing, lead, and build altars. But God sees beyond the action. He checks posture. A man may appear spiritual before men, and yet be proud before heaven. True humility is not weakness, it is strength surrendered. The humble are not those who think less of themselves. They are those who think of themselves rightly through the lens of the Spirit. They know that even though they carry mantles, mantles don't make them masters. They are stewards, they are under authority, and they remember it. Grace responds to such postures. When heaven sees such brokenness, grace begins to flow. The kind of grace that opens impossible doors. The kind of grace that silences warfare without a fight. The kind of grace that takes a man from the backside of the wilderness to the palace. The kind of grace that makes kings look for you without you trying to be seen. The oil of God is heavy, and it only settles on low ground. The proud are too elevated to receive it, but the humble have made themselves low, not by pretending but by becoming. They are teachable, they are yielded. They are submissive, they are quick to repent, they tremble at the word, they don't argue with instructions, they understand protocols, they understand ranks, they understand that God is not their mate. This posture is not weakness. It is the secret to stature. It is the system by which God lifts men. So when he finds humility, he pours grace. And when grace comes, nothing remains the same. Humility is not a suggestion, it is a law for lifting. It is the highway to grace. The humble understand spiritual ranking, honor, and submission. In the kingdom, understanding how authority works is not optional. It is vital for preservation, growth, and divine promotion. Spiritual things are not random. They are governed by order, by structure, and by ranks. Heaven itself operates by a strict hierarchy. From the throne of God to the least angel assigned on earth, everyone functions by rank and instruction. This is why humility becomes a gateway into influence, because the humble man recognizes what many ignore, that no matter how anointed, gifted, or called you are under authority. Pride makes a man believe he is above instruction. It makes people bypass the voices God has placed in their lives and chase after platforms instead of altars. But the humble understand that honor is a currency in the realm of the Spirit. They know that dishonor shuts doors. Not just doors of men, but even divine doors. They have discerned that behind every man is a mantle, behind every voice is a throne. And if you ever want to partake of what flows from that throne, you must kneel before the vessel God has chosen. In this kingdom, you rise by submission. Submission is not subjugation. It is an acknowledgement of divine order. The humble are quick to kneel, not because they are weak, but because they see what others cannot. They know that authority is God's system for maintaining order and distributing power. This is why Jesus, though being equal with God, submitted to the will of the Father. That posture is what enthroned him. The humble don't fight for positions. They don't compete for visibility. They know that everything in the kingdom is allocated, not grabbed, and allocation is connected to alignment. There are people today who should have entered new dimensions, but their inability to honor and submit has become the reason for their delay. They want mantles, but they despise vessels. They want grace, but they dishonor the system by which grace is transferred. In the realm of the Spirit, dishonor is rebellion, and rebellion is witchcraft. The humble are protected because they remain under covering. They don't step out of rank. They don't function outside instruction. They have mastered how to receive correction without offense. They serve with joy. They pour water on the hands of those ahead of them because they know that what you serve is what you attract. There are territories you cannot enter until you pass the test of submission. There are anointings you cannot carry until God can trust your heart to stay under authority even when you have influence. The humble understand that lifting is not just a matter of time. It is a matter of heart posture. They recognize that kingdom greatness is built on the foundation of spiritual protocol, that no matter how far you go, you are always under someone, and as long as you remain under what is above, you will always protect and empower you. Brokenness is the true sign of spiritual maturity. In this kingdom, it is not eloquence that proves growth, nor the display of gifts and charisma. It is brokenness, when a man gets to the point where he no longer trusts his own strength, no longer argues with God, no longer fights for visibility, but surrenders, fully yielded to the dealings of the Spirit. Brokenness is not weakness, it is not self-pity, it is the place where the will is conquered, where pride dies, and where God becomes the only source of strength and validation. Many are called, but few are usable. Because the process that makes men usable requires breaking, the oil does not flow until the vessel is crushed. It is in that crushing that the fragrance of Christ is released through a man. This is why the higher you rise, the deeper you must be broken. Because influence without brokenness leads to destruction. When God begins to lift a man, he allows cycles of breaking, not to destroy, but to preserve. It is in that process that motives are purified, ambition is purged, and the man becomes a mirror that reflects only Christ. Spiritual maturity is not loud. It is not in noise or in titles. It is seen in the posture of a heart that trembles at the word of God, a heart that can say, "Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." That's brokenness. That's growth. When you reach a point where your desire is not just power or visibility, but conformity to His image, when your greatest pursuit becomes transformation, not platform, then you have touched maturity. And let me tell you, the spirit realm responds to brokenness. There are doors that won't open to prayer and fasting alone. There are realms of grace that are only accessed when the heart is laid down at the altar. God cannot use what He has not broken. Before the loaves fed the multitudes, He blessed them, and then He broke them. It is in the breaking that multiplication happens, when your agenda is shattered and only His will remains. When you stop performing for men and start dying daily, when you stop quoting Revelation and start becoming revelation, that's when the Spirit begins to trust you with weight in the realm of destiny. That's when mantles begin to rest upon you, not because you shouted loud enough, but because you bowed low enough. The greatest among you is not the most celebrated. It is the one who is most surrendered. The one whose tears still flow in the secret place. The one who still kneels, even when nations stand to honor Him. The one who says, "Yes, Lord," even when it hurts. That is brokenness. And until God sees that posture, He cannot entrust nations, territories, or mantles into your hands. Because in this kingdom, authority is not just a product of calling, it is a reward for death to self, and only the broken can carry such glory without being destroyed by it. God entrusts kingdom mysteries to the humble. There are secrets in this kingdom that are not taught, they are entrusted. Not everyone who hears the word receives light. Light is not given to the curious, it is given to the meek. Revelation is a trust. God does not cast pearls before swine. He looks beyond the intellect, beyond the tongue that prays in mysteries, and He searches for a posture, a heart that is low, teachable, and trembles at His word. It is the humble that become custodians of mysteries because they understand the weight of revelation. Spiritual truths are sacred. They are keys to dominion, patterns for reigning, systems for transforming nations. God does not waste them on the arrogant. Pride blinds the heart. It makes a man think he knows even when heaven is silent. It creates resistance in the realm of the Spirit. But when a man comes and says, "Lord, I know nothing unless you teach me," that man has created room for light. That is the man God can whisper to in the night. That is the man God can entrust with visions, with dreams, with encounters that alter generations. Revelation comes on the wings of surrender. There are people who read the Bible and it becomes history. Others read and realms open. The difference is not method, it is posture. The humble man doesn't study to impress, he studies to become. He sits before the Word and says, "Search me, Lord. If there is pride in me, if there is disobedience, purge me." He does not rush to the pulpit, he rushes to the altar, because he knows that light is dangerous if it meets a proud vessel. Knowledge puffs up, but brokenness purifies it. There are levels of revelation that birth mantles. Dimensions of truth that program strange possibilities. When God begins to see a humble heart, He opens scrolls. He takes you beyond the letter into the mysteries that govern the earth. He shows you why some territories remain in bondage, why altars speak for generations, why certain patterns continue until a man with light rises. That kind of insight is not given in casual study. It is entrusted in deep intimacy, and only the humble are allowed to come that close. The proud want to be known, the humble want to be formed, and because they don't chase fame, God gives them depth. They become silent weapons, men and women whose lives become answers to ancient questions. When they speak, their words don't just inform, they reform. They don't quote revelation, they embody it. They are not many, but they exist. You may not find them in the spotlight, but heaven knows them. They are the ones whose names are echoed in the Spirit because they have aligned their hearts with the King, and when God finds such vessels, He hides mysteries in them, not so they can boast, but so they can build. Because only the humble can carry divine secrets and not misuse them. Destiny elevation is tied to humility. In this kingdom, rising is not a function of luck or mere potential. It is alignment with spiritual laws. And one of the foundational laws that governs lifting is humility. It is not activity that brings promotion. It is posture. God does not lift men because they desire elevation. He lifts those whose hearts have been trained to submit, to serve, and to wait. Many have delayed their own prophetic seasons because their pride was louder than their obedience. They wanted results on their terms, not on God's pattern. But in this kingdom, you don't rise by striving, you rise by yielding. There are doors that respond, not to fasting alone, but to brokenness. There are thrones that are accessed, not by shouting prayers, but by kneeling in surrender. Many have prayed, many have declared, but the heavens remain shut. Not because God cannot hear, but because God is waiting for a different posture. Humility is not just a character trait, it is a spiritual protocol. It creates an atmosphere around a man that compels the attention of God. When you see a man rise in unusual ways, with speed and honor that cannot be explained by effort alone, check his heart. He may not be the most talented, but he has mastered the law of humility, and in this kingdom, that is the highway to honor. Humility says, Lord, I am nothing without you. It says, I will follow even when I don't understand. It says, I will sit when you say sit, and move when you say move. That posture is what God is looking for. Because in that kind of heart, He can invest influence, resources, visibility, and grace, knowing that the person will not misuse it. But when pride is in the heart, lifting becomes a risk, and heaven does not sponsor rebellion. Some people were not denied elevation, they disqualified themselves, they murmured through the season of preparation, they compared themselves with others, they criticized the system God was using to shape them. And without knowing, they became proud, and pride is a thief of destiny. It makes a man fight what he should serve. It makes a woman despise the process that carries her promotion, but the humble embrace the journey. They don't rush seasons. They don't despise small beginnings. They understand that what you are becoming is more important than what you are getting. When you are humble, God can trust you with visibility. He can place you on platforms, and you will still bow before Him in secret. He can give you access, and you won't become inaccessible. He can use you mightily, and you will still say, To God be the glory. That is the posture that commands elevation. It is not ambition, it is not manipulation, it is alignment, and only the humble are truly aligned, because pride bends the soul away from the will of God. But humility keeps you straight, steady, and submitted, even when the applause of men surrounds you. The reward for humility is not just spiritual, it is visible honor. In the realm of men and in the courts of heaven, God responds to posture, and when He finds humility, He does not just pour grace in secret, He lifts openly. Honor is the language of the Spirit. It is the system by which God announces His own, and He does not honor everyone the same way. The proud may have applause, but the humble carry endorsement. The applause of men can fade, but the honor that comes from God is permanent. It is God saying to creation, This one has passed the test. This one has aligned with my heart. Humility attracts favor in dimensions that education, connections, and strength can never produce. There are realms of influence that cannot be accessed by skill alone. It takes a fragrance from the spirit of a man, a fragrance that only brokenness can release. That fragrance is what makes kings call for you, even when you are in the background. It is what makes your name rise in rooms you've never entered. There are people today being rewarded, not because they are the most gifted, but because they carry a spirit of humility that heaven cannot ignore. Honor in this kingdom is more than titles or greetings. It is the allocation of spiritual space. When God honors a man, he gives him territory in the hearts of men. He places a voice upon his words. He gives him access to speak where others are ignored. This kind of visibility is not earned through ambition. It is the response of heaven to a heart that is low before God. Even the Master, though being equal with God, made himself of no reputation. And what was the result? God highly exalted him. That is the reward. When you humble yourself, God exalts you. But the nature of God's reward is that it does not just bless you, it makes others witness his hand on your life. That is why humility never ends in shame. The one who bows before God will never remain on the ground. When God lifts a man, he makes sure that the same people who mocked you must testify. He makes your results echo in places where your name was once despised. That is not manipulation, it is vindication. Because God is just, and humility is always a seed, some of the greatest doors you will ever walk through will not be opened by effort, but by honor, and honor comes to the humble. When your heart is truly yielded, God will command men to serve you, to help you, to favor you. And they won't know why, because the reward of humility is not only spiritual depth, it is also honor before men. It is being preferred without begging, being remembered without lobbying, being celebrated without striving. That is what God does to the man who understands that the way up is down, that when you go low before him, he will lift you high before men. Beloved, the secret to true greatness in this kingdom is not in striving, competing, or projecting strength. It is in becoming nothing before the throne of God. Humility is not a weakness. It is the posture that attracts the oil, the grace, the lifting, and the honor of heaven. When God finds a man whose heart is broken and contrite, that man becomes a system of divine possibilities on the earth. The path to promotion is not upward, it is downward in surrender. The deeper your humility, the higher your ascension. The more you die to self, the more you become alive in the Spirit. God is still lifting men. God is still promoting destinies. God is still unveiling mysteries, but only to those who are yielded. So, I speak over your life. May the spirit of humility rest upon you. May your heart remain tender before God. May pride find no dwelling place in you. And as you walk in submission, brokenness, and reverence, may the God who lifts the humble reward you openly, with grace, with honor, and with relevance in your generation. Thank you for taking this journey of transformation through the power of the Word. As you embrace the way of humility, may your life become a testimony of divine lifting. Good luck on your path of surrender. Your reward is certain, your rising is near, and your name will echo in places only grace can take you. Keep yielding, keep pressing. The throne is waiting. Remain blessed, and may the Lord honor your obedience and posture in Jesus' name.